Only bring 10 items. She'll live alone in the wilderness. Danish version season 8 officially returns. Still the familiar recipe, the same taste as before. 7 survival experts. The seasoned are taken to the wilderness. Ice in the Arctic Circle. In -20 degrees Celsius. They don't just have to build shelters and find food, but always be on the lookout for unexpected situations. The last man standing, thanks to our rich survival skills, will win a $500,000 cash reward. The challenge site this time is Lapland, Finland, north of the Arctic Circle. The contestants are taken to the starting point by the program's seaplane. The first person to appear was Soren. Don't look at your 60-year-old. You're actually only 40. When you put your feet on the ground. He was so excited, without realizing the seriousness of the situation. Fortunately, there's a big rock at the landing site, fit to do shelter and the smell of reindeer dung around. It shows that this place has abundant resources. Before joining the program, Soren is a professional blacksmith. He lived as a blacksmith and used to work showcase for many museums. At the same time accumulated a lot of manual experience. I joined the program because of my passion for nature. It's even better if you win the lottery. After locating the shelter, he started collecting materials. I'm going to build a sloping roof against the cliff and tie waterproof tarpaulins to the wooden slats. Quickly form a simple tent. Remarkable. Soren was the only one who didn't carry a sleeping bag. He believed that cowhide blankets could keep him warm. But I don't know if it's freezing to death in the winter. The second person to appear was Anders. This guy's incredibly lucky. I've just come ashore and discovered a natural shelter. Looking inside, the space is quite good, so the shelter problem is solved immediately. He combed the blanket down and lay inside. Fit size. In front of the door is an open lake. You can observe all the activity around you. Before joining the program, Anders is no ordinary man. More than 15 people live in the forest. You've attracted hundreds of thousands of followers on social networking platforms. Live by videos that teach survival skills. Your true power is out of the question. To make a big fire, I shredded the wood into small pieces. When igniting, the fire hits the wood and smokes successfully. To keep the fire burning longer, Auntie specifically collected 11 pieces of turpentine. This can extend the duration of a fire. There is no need to use more wood. The third contestant was named Bettina. It's probably my first time getting involved, so I'm pretty excited. When I put my feet on the ground, I couldn't hold back my tears. As the yacht slowly leaves, it also means the coming days. I can only rely on myself. Look around the lake. There's a lot of fish activity. Makes you look forward to this wilderness. In her native Norway, Bettina is an auto mechanic. Your house has a very large garage. There are countless cars inside. Usually help customers adjust the car as required. You're also a professional fisherman. Often drives a private yacht out to sea fishing. Participating in the contest is just to experience life. After quickly arranging the luggage and erecting the tent. Done. Female carry specialized fishing rods to the shore of the fishing lake. It is worth noting that this time, in addition to the lure, contestants can also choose 3 favorite items, and the female carried a net of fish. As far as you know, this can keep fish alive in the water for cold storage. But I have to say you underestimated it. Situation out in nature. It takes half an hour to stand on the edge of the ark, even though there is bait lure support, but still cannot catch anything. It's ultimately a lack of resources, or not enough skill, is hard to say. And was the second female contestant of the season. After landing on the ground, immediately set up a simple camp. Take a break and get ready to go fishing. To be able to live on fish resources, she's been carrying all kinds of bait that she's collected for over 13 years. It doesn't matter if it's a big fish or a small fish. You are confident you will catch it. Bring all the tools you quickly to the shore. He dropped the fish a second later. Pike bit the hook. Oh my god. This is so good luck. She immediately beat the fish to death with a stone. The fish's body is unfathomable. At least 7 to 8 pounds. Not expected. The first person to win the prize was a female contestant. Clean the fish's head and remove it. Surely this would be a wild delicacy. The fifth contestant is named Klaus. Now he solved the fire problem. While walking, I found a lot of mushrooms. Depending on the smell, you can use it. In his native Denmark, Klaus runs a picnic shop, specialized in selling professional outdoor equipment. Thanks to that you are also active. He gained a lot of experience in the wild. He often goes out alone hunting and fishing. Reasons to participate in this contest. Mostly I want to win the prize. To expand your store. However, as soon as I brought the fishing rod, raw prepared to fish, from the far side of the mountain, suddenly runs through a flock. Reindeer. Unfortunately, these animals are under the law. The guard should be obedient to the fishing shore. I can't believe the resources in this area are so plentiful. I caught a small fish in less than a minute. I can't believe dinner came so easily. When the night falls, the contestants all fled to the rest camp. Fast forward to the next day. Inside is extremely lavish. I drank delicious fish soup in the morning. The fish's head that was thrown away yesterday is now being pecked by a bird. It's a waste to eat because of such a big head. If you are hungry later, don't regret it. At the same time, Soren wakes up in the morning. Let's look around a little bit and then decide to spread the net. I hope tomorrow we will have a big party. Lunch breakfast. I went back to camp and started making tools. A piece of wood under his hand quickly turned into a handy hammer. Next is to think about how to install roof beams. Measuring distances on a large rock. And cut down a big tree is the main pillar of the house. Of course, you have to remove the bark. However, if you want to build something that big, you have to have power. Soren used zipper. For half a day the beam didn't move. Little by little you push it up. After 2.5 hours it was finally built. It's also building a shack called Bettina. She used a tree branch as an empty pole. After finishing the beam, he breathed because he was too tired. One day and one night without protein. You have no power to do anything else. So bring the fishing rod to the lake again. Early in the morning, the wind is calm. Maybe we can get the party. What can you think of? Soon the water began to stir. If you pull it up, it's a dog. With sharp teeth. Not careful to take a bite. This fish is big enough to eat for 2 days. But I'm not hungry right now, so the female uses a racket to hold it underwater. If an animal steals you, you'll regret it. On the underside, abandoning solid stone shelters, I deliberately went into the forest to build a new shack. It's obviously a waste of time and effort. He cut down some 4 meters long sticks to build the shack. I didn't know you were building a house. It's not easy to build such a long beam. I was busy all day and kept falling. Finally finished building the frame, when the fixation collapsed again. That's bad luck. I didn't get it wrong. Klaus is also building a shelter right now. I'm going to make a simple triangular tent. Never tried it before. But the triangular structure is very stable, so you can easily build the frame. Then cover it with a waterproof cloth, and the next few days we'll live in it. Get everything done. Klaus brings fishing rods to fishing, like a few times before. Just drop the hook, and the fish bit the hook. By weight, this fish is not small. Take a look, for heaven's sake. The body is bigger than the legs. This is definitely a mackerel, the biggest you've ever said. The result this time filled Klaus with excitement. Brought back to camp hanging in the tent. Because the fish didn't eat it all. Cook for half an hour on high heat. I sat in front of the camp and enjoyed every bite, piece by piece. I don't know how many times more protein than beef. Blink of an eye on the day, Soren. It's finally time for the extra grid inspection. So far I've fasted 9 meals in 3 days. I just hope the side grid gets a little harvest. But when you get to the shore and pull up, oh, the net can't catch any fish. It's even messed up. Go back to the camp and take a look. It is not easy to recover as it was before. Back to Klaus. Today's task is to make the door for the tent. First use a tree branch to measure the appropriate length. Then make the frame according to the size. Then cover it with waterproof cloth. I didn't expect it to fit. Today's breakfast is quite expensive. Klaus doesn't plan to stockpile food. They cut off the fish's head and shove the rest into the tree. 2 sides sealed with bark. It's like an oven. In half an hour, the food was ready. To taste a piece. Oh my god, the fish is grilled outside, crispy and soft. The water spilled over my mouth. It has more protein than beef. At the same time, Anders had finally built his tent. The weather in this area is quite cold. I'm going to build a fireplace outside, turn around, and pick up stones, combined with soft moss that quickly builds. I can't wait to burn a fire to see how it works. It doesn't take into account the wind factor. As long as the fire is lit, the smoke will be blown into the tent. It's impossible to stay. Maybe the whole morning struggle was in vain. Think back and forth. I decided to remove it and change it. That's another 2.5 hours. I thought this time would go well. If you think you can build half the stone, you can't stand it. The weight is unlucky. The feeling of failure made Anders immediately lose faith. It's the Olympic of survival. Alone in Denmark opens a new chapter. In addition to the actual equipment provided by the production team, you can also choose your 3 favorite items. There's even people who carry mechanical arcs. There's no shortage of binoculars or drill bits. According to the old law, the person who survives will eventually receive $500,000. On Wednesday, Rick was the 6th contestant of the season. Look at the appearance. I guess you're also an anonymous survival expert. He's been living in this makeshift tent these days. Just because the ground is full of blueberries, you can eat at any time. Wait until there's enough protein to build a shelter. While sitting in camp drinking hot tea, a crow suddenly flew by. Rick imitated the crow. Let's see if we can attract it. I can't believe this works. Soon the crow came flying. But just scratching your head doesn't give you a chance to draw your bow. In his native Denmark, Rick is a professional hunter. With ecstatic archery skills, I used to hunt big animals. Shot a wild boar that almost sucked to death. It made me realize the dangers of animals. Wild entered the contest mainly because of the bonus, but so far I haven't discovered any small animals. Practice in your free time. The last player is Matthew. He's also the only one with the power. A few days ago, I want to eat less fruit that grows on the ground. Then to the fishing pond. Lucky to have one. But it's lost in the drag before entering the contest. Matthew is an archer. Your house has all kinds of animal specimens. It shows that the ability is not trivial. Besides, you're a jeweler. The family situation is no different. You're here to challenge yourself. After a few days, you've solved the shelter for the water heater. She's going to go out and pick up some branches as a stand. When you go back and put a stake in the ground. Unfortunately, it spilled the pot and put out the campfire, and it didn't seem too strong. On Klaus's side, I've been feeling dizzy these days. The heart beats quickly without slowing down. If there is a problem with your body, call the medical team immediately. The doctor rushed to the canoe. After the test indicates due to not eating enough. I was hungry and told to eat on time. Small things not to worrying about. Switch to Soren. I went out to check the fishing net today. Thanks to experience last time. So this time it's easy to catch a big catfish. Clean the organs on site. Even though the meat doesn't look good, I still bring it home for cooking. I was eager to eat it all. This is the first meal in for days. I ate clean in less than a few minutes. You've got the energy, and you've started to reinforce the shelter. Otherwise, this simple tent is easily blown away by the wind. A few days ago, I've started building permanent shelters. If you look at the area, it should be called a wild villa. I just don't know if I can survive when I'm done. Where is Anders? I was too busy to make a kitchen for the camp. He put a stick between 2 big trees. And then used sawn wood as a base. The iron pot can also be hung easily, so that kitchen utensils can fit on it. When I went out, I found a dry tree. This plant has a lot of oil in its bark. As long as the spark burns, I collect them to use when winter comes. Then he went to the lake to check the fish traps. But the more you pull it up, the cleaner it gets than your face. I haven't caught fish for 2 days in a row. I decided to move somewhere else and set the trap. To the 5th day, Anne, she was fishing on the shore, when he suddenly discovered something interesting. A herd of reindeer came running in front of her. These creatures seemed to be completely unafraid of humans. Unfortunately, the rules of the game do not allow hunting. Shoot in the opening phase. If not at this close distance, shoot a shot. The name is Win Now. Then and went to the old place to check the fish traps. What do you really think there is? This time, we managed to capture a large mackerel. More often than not, I catch you big. Go back to camp and start cooking. I can't believe there are fish eggs in the stomach. Cut off the head of the fish and roast it next to the pot. Sure, the taste will be better than boiled on the female side. After 5 days of starting the camp, finally finished the frame. Then brush the waterproof tarpaulin. Because the roof is too flat, there may be water, and she's especially high in the middle with a shelf. At a speed like this, maybe it won't be finished until tomorrow. For lunch, cook some fish to fight hunger. Fortunately, I didn't eat it all a few days ago. If you're not done and you're hungry, I can't stand it. When night fell, Rich was eating fish at the camp. Just eat as much as possible. It can last much longer. On the 6th day, it's Rick's son's birthday. Think of your beloved child. Early morning cooking fish. I can't help but shed tears. But thinking about $500,000, trying to control your emotions. Then Rick took his stuff to the lake. He took out a field boat that took him 2.5 days to build. A few days ago I was always looking for a way to improve my raft. It's finally time to check the results. You sit on the raft and climb away. I'm going to use a raft to set up a grid. I can't believe the process is in constant trouble. I have to go back and fix the rack. But as soon as the grid is laid, one side of the raft was suddenly waterlogged. Not having time to react, he was thrown into the water. Even the neckhorn lifebuoy popped out immediately. Fortunately, the lake was not very deep. He quickly crept up the shore, on the Bettina side, to sleep at night, not on the ground. She decided to make a single bed for camp. The bed frame uses wood as big as a thigh. Each piece carried to the middle of the tent. And then line up the little branches. And then comb the soft branches. Finally, just put the blanket on top. If you try it, the length and size will fit. Right now with Anders, I'm going to do a big job. To reassemble the grid, I'm going to put pieces of wood together, so can extend the grid laying range. If you measure it with your feet, a piece of wood is up to 30 feet long. Fortunately, before the game, I brought a drill to make a buffet. This tool is very useful when building a house. And then you use a drill to make a small hole. Then connect the other two pieces of wood. And then through a small hole in the middle. Finally, use a wooden stick to fix the two ends. It's about getting a joint that works. When you're done, you have more anchors on the wood. Then bring the finished rack out to the lake. Little by little fix the grid to the anchor point, when all the wood is in the water. The next step is just waiting. When I returned to camp, I was hungry. But the fish had been eaten to fill the stomach. Anders thought of the bark. The young bark inside the pine tree is rich in vitamin C. I cut it into pieces and brought it back to camp. First boiled in a pot. Then put it back on the lid. To taste a piece. The taste is acceptable. It's just a little hard to chew. Come to claws. I have not eaten fish for 3 days. Today, we're going out to a familiar place to fish with sophisticated bait. Standing by the lake all morning. But in less than half an hour, the hook was suddenly stuck in the rock. You can't pull it off even if you try. Finally forced to cut the fishing line. Not only is there no fish, but both the hook and the line were wasted. To the 7th day, Anders goes to check the grid set. Hurry to pull up and the lighter the pole. In the end, nothing was harvested, and the bait gets wrapped up in the branches. There's no other way than to cut it off with a small knife. That the equipment you've been working on has failed. Into a severe shock that caused Anders to lose faith. It's about how many more days you can stay. It's really hard to say. Switch to Soren. In the morning, I put the tree in the pot to cook a thick batch of soap. A little more special flavor. By going out and picking rosemary leaves. Crushed and put in the pot. In just half an hour, the soap. Abnormal consistency to the oven. According to him, this dish can help remove all the dirt on the body. Then he took off all his clothes and went to the river to bathe, with the freezing cold water that awakened Soren. Back to full body count, as elevated. On the other side, the Tina, after 2.5 hours of effort, finally caught a small fish before dark. After days of hunger, we can finally eat meat. But at the same time there was one. The boat came up on the lake. It turned out that the medical staff came for a routine checkup to make sure they were still well enough to stay. Who is this on this side? Before they left, they were reminded that winter was coming. People have to be prepared to keep warm before the temperature drops. It was the 8th day, as expected. Last night the weather started to get extraordinarily cold, so Anders decided to shorten his shelter a little bit to retain heat more efficiently, and then you're covered in moss on the roof. That way you won't be afraid of cold air. And at the same time, other players are starting to upgrade their shelters. On Klaus's side, I'm going to make myself a small bed. The first is to determine the location, and then cut down some wooden sticks and fasten them to the ground. The next thing is to put a bunch of sticks on top. Finally, brushed blanket fur up is finished. On the Soren side, he also brought a drill as a tool, drilling a hole from the roof, and then cut some sticks that we used as nails to put them in. This can ensure a strong house structure. Of course, the top layer has to be covered in moss to make the roof. It seems to take at least 4 to 5 days. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Tina also started building her tent. But you don't take into account the wind direction. As soon as we sat in the camp, the thick smoke spread quickly. They seem to want to live comfortably. It still needs to be improved. It's the 9th day. The weather is getting colder. Rick is forced to quickly complete the shelter. Permanently now his progress is the slowest. He spread the waterproof cloth over the frame. Tie to sticks at the main door to fix the roof. Be careful to climb. You use a waterproof cloth like a hat. Cover the top. It doesn't stop the smoke from escaping and it stops the snow. The rest under the tent is cut off. In order to avoid the edges of the cloth from being worn, he used fire and then moved all the furniture to a new place. On the Soren side, I got up early and washed my face and cleaned my place. At first I wanted to build a house somewhere else. But after a few days, I realized there wasn't enough energy to give up and expand the temporary shelter. Look at the walls. It is no different than the villa. Soren was hungry all morning to go fishing. So far I've eaten a piece of fish. How can you work hard without enough protein? There was no boat to hunt. I can only wait for the rod. Just finished the sentence, the hook fluttered. I didn't expect the fish to bite so fast. He immediately pulled the fish to the shore. Maybe because I'm hungry. You don't keep fishing, you go back to the fish farm. First you put the caviar in the frying pan to taste a piece. It's unspeakable. It's more flexible and chewy than beef. In less than 2 minutes, no color left. And Annie's probably one of the few people who has stockpiled food. In the morning, just eat the fish tail. In extreme circumstances, 3 meals must be properly divided. Annie's going to add a warm layer to the tent after dinner. Because the tent is too high, there are no ladders. You have to throw up every piece of moss to lie down for a while. That the cold made it impossible for her to sleep. It was then that she realized the importance of the fireplace. So she carried her backpack to the river to pick up stones, make a circle of stones to light a fire. To avoid the haze, she even made a hole in the roof as a skylight. When the night falls, it's finally getting a little warmer inside. On the 10th day, Klaus went fishing again. But the colder it gets, the less fish there are. You've been empty-handed these days. Try changing the bait several times, but still no one bit the hook. There's no other way. I went back to my teeth last time. I just looked at the net and drooled. But taking it off is both exhausting and unlikely to succeed. Klaus pulled out the knife and cut it off. I can't help but praise you for being decisive. The rest of the netty teeth along the shore of the lake, they're going around the neighborhood to lure the fish in. I just hope tomorrow a miracle happens. Meanwhile, the Maddie sigh. He's one of the few remaining archers on the field. Today she's taking the compound bow up the mountain hunting. First she uses a whistle to mimic the sound of a small bird, then carefully look around. But I just went a little bit. Maddie suddenly felt dizzy. Eyes, ears buzzing like the wind is whistling. He was so hungry that he started hallucinating. Afraid of exhaustion and fainting in the wilderness, I decided to go back to running for sure. As she walked across the lake, she found some reeds. It's got a lot of carbohydrates. She did not dare to delay and immediately put it in the pot. As long as there is food, it should not be wasted. Boil on high heat for 10 minutes. Finally cooked. But it's dark now. I just drink some water to warm my stomach. Save the rest for the next morning. To the 11th day. Maddie took out the mushroom that grows on the birch tree. I've heard that this is very fragrant for making coffee. Ground into powder and poured into super boiled water. When poured out, the color is quite standard. Take a few sips to warm up. You brought your bow out hunting. Unfortunately, there is nothing around. I waited forever and couldn't find any animals. But this trip was not in vain. Because I found a bunch of berries growing all over the ground. She swept it clean. On the Bettina sigh. Living in a wilderness like this, it's hard not to remember family. So she carved the silhouette of her loved ones on the wood. However, in the process of survival, this doesn't help. After cleaning up, she went to the fishing pond. I can't believe this area has abundant resources. We caught a big fish in less than 3 minutes. While collecting fish, I found a small bird watching to pick up his piece of fish meat. I can't believe you're not angry. On the contrary, there is a desire to feed them. If you have extra food, why feed the birds? Turn to Rick as a top hunter. I'm always looking for protein around me. Unfortunately, the resources in this area are scarce. Not even the little squirrel in the forest. Bring your things. I walked around for half a day and found nothing. I had to pick some wild fruit for my stomach. Go back to camp and rest for a while. But the shelter is leaking all over. The cold can't stand. You have to go out and cut wood. While cutting down trees in nature, be very careful. If you get hit by a tree, no one comes to save you. Rick was so careful that he ran away. Then he went to the lake to check the nets. Fortunately, they are not white. Caught a fish weighing more than 5 pounds. On the way home, my shoes were caught. Rick guessed the bottom of the sole must have been torn. But now I don't have time to fix it. Just go back to the fish farm. At the same time, Claus was praying at the camp. I hope I catch the fish because today is a great inspection day. Gently scrape the net. I can't believe that after the last 3 days there will be fish. I was so hungry that I immediately went back to the cooking camp. The best ingredients are just baked on the fire. Wait until the surface burns. You can rest assured to enjoy. To the 12th day. Soren's luxury home has basically taken shape. Outside the comfortable warm rest area, there's a fire burning next to it. There is also a convenient ventilation window above. Even the gap in the wall is sealed. There's no space left. However, according to the current progress, it is still far from being completed. His idea was to build a shelter, the most luxurious area, and then he found some more sticks, covered with waterproof tarpaulin, to avoid leakage, and especially a little moss on top of it. Breakfast, his wild mushrooms picked around the area. I hear it tastes a lot like mushroom oil, used to cook quite delicious soup. It's a little bit of energy. He started walking around collecting branches. What used to be simple is now difficult. The plan is to extend the entire shelter out to the ledge. I also know that the workload is not small. Maddie's side gets up in the morning and cooks an easy-to-clean pot. That's breakfast and lunch today. Then continue to carry the fishing pole. Because hunting is completely hopeless. Do you go fishing empty-handed? But it wasn't less than half an hour before a small fish bit. I only caught one and came back immediately. This is the first fish. Maddie's been playing since the beginning of the game. Soft fish meat dissolved in the mouth. It makes the whole body feel completely healed. You don't have to eat grass to survive. In less than 10 minutes, she ate the fish. At the same time, Rick's having a headache over food. The past few days have been focused on hunting. The fish caught very little. In times of urgency, he thought about eating bark. Start scraping the bark little by little with a small knife. The thinner you shave, the better you eat. Cook for more than 2.5 hours. To the afternoon, he also had a meal that he called delicious. However, the bark is not as delicious as imagined. Taste hard and very difficult to chew, but in this situation, there's a belly lining. It's already good. I was walking along the beach after eating. Suddenly I saw the buoy on the fishing pole moving. I immediately grabbed. As expected, of course. It looks like a small fish about 125 grams. I'm so excited I can't help it. It seems that eating the bark was a waste of effort. Back at camp, you cut off the tail and roast it. The rest is for tomorrow. On Claus's side, when you see the water in the pot is frozen, I realized that winter was approaching. Not building a fireplace, you can only rely on the fire to keep you warm. I have to put out the fire every night before I go to bed. The night is based on the strength of the body. Fortunately, apart from that, what's important is that you still have food in reserve. No need to leave the house today. You can also eat to your heart's content. Another person who also started eating the bark was Soren due to intense exercise every day. It makes your body waste a lot, so I slice the bark into thin slices. Cook like noodles and hang on a drying line. In my free time, I can eat like a snack. Building a house in the forest. You can't stop even for a minute. Use a drill bit to drill a bolted hole and then stick it up. This is not only convenient when fixed, it's much stronger than a rope. On the Bettina side, today is a special day for you. She went out and used the bark as a white flag. Plug it into the ground. According to you, your goal is this place. It's done. There's no need to stay. And then a yacht came along. You didn't need many words to withdraw. It's because there's too little fish. It's completely beyond your imagination. What I want most is to go home and eat chicken and hamburgers. Looks like you got here a little late. Then you can pack your bags and leave, when the other contestants are still gnawing at the bark to survive. Someone caught a fish that weighed 7 pounds. Not only easy to ensure protein intake, but also started building wine-proof villas against the rain in the forest. Before the coming winter, adequate food reserves. That's the key to winning. It's day 14. Rick's out hunting with his bow. The morning temperature is near freezing. To catch little birds around there, I go out almost every morning to try my luck. I'm going to use whistles to attract them, but blowing for half an hour just saw this one fly by. It's so cold I can't stand it. I can't help but run back to warm up. Next to Matt, I woke up to find my teacup covered in ice. The rope in the camp was frozen as hard as steel. I can see how cold it has been in the last few days. Because it's so cold. You don't go out and build a fireplace. If you wait until winter, you can't. Maddie's idea was to build a chimney outside the tent. To be able to ignite the heating inside without the smell of smoke, we have to build a wall in the middle. It's not a small thing for you. I have to do it all day. The next job. It may take a few days to complete. And Soren. He's constantly building wild mansions, forgetting to take protein. High-intensity work keeps the body at the limit. I'm exhausted. I don't know if I can break the rules of building a villa. I give up. Not to feel sad about home. In your free time, you make crafts with a 3-day fast. Maybe the day the house is finished 'tis the day you give up. Rick's shelter is probably the simplest. So far there's only one waterproof cloth. For the coming cold winter, I've got to refortify. Start making tent frames with wooden sticks, and then cover it with a waterproof cloth. Fear of snow and unbearable shoes. I made another bracket on the roof. After doing that, I was hungry and went to the fishing pond. This area is a good resource. Not long after, I caught a small fish. Back to camp. He quickly chopped wood to light a fire and grilled the fish to eat. Half an hour later, I enjoyed a delicious meal. Eat like a party. Eat forever without getting bored. On the 15th day, Claus woke up hungry. The water in front of you is where you fish. On the sixth day, because of negligence, the bait got stuck in the rock crevice. Good bait is limited. One loss is to reduce the chance. You take off all your clothes. The bell feet into the cold water to find. Very capable. This is definitely the last man standing. I was lucky to get the bait back. Go back to the fishing camp and continue fishing. I'm sorry I didn't get it all. Helplessly he went to the shore to collect bark. Not to eat, but to save wood for the winter. I also collect a lot of wood, so that the winter snowfall is not out. Hungry for 2.5 hours. Ash only got a big bag of wood and a small bag of wood. You can safely stay in the camp. Today's dinner is simply a few blueberries. I don't want to be hungry. I just don't want to be hungry. And Sai, she's probably the most stable developer on the battlefield. I try out the fishing pond every day, although in many cases she's usually empty-handed. But that doesn't affect your mood. However, it soon began to snow. It makes the calm person start to worry. Dak to collect 10 sticks of wood to reinforce the shelter. It's going to cover all the tent walls. But with a weak girl, this is definitely work. It takes a lot of time and energy. You don't eat or drink all day. We finally completed the mission before dark, and as she walked around, she found a skull. This thing is very good for decoration. At Soren's, he didn't eat for 2 days, but we're still building shelters. I want to finish the house before winter. However, his body was very weak. I just had to sit down for a while. Back to camp. I also put some nails separately so I can hang things up for convenience. Until the 16th day. Madi early in the morning cut a bunch of reeds. You've been relying on that for a living these days. Go out and check that the warehouse is still empty. Take a break and don't give up. Go back to the fishing pond. It was a week ago that I ate fish for the last time, so you're hungry for protein. Suddenly, just a moment later, there was a sign. You hurry up. The heavier it gets, the faster it gets on the stick by the shore. The fish that almost got into my hand suddenly let go. Sorry. Soren's busy fixing fishing nets. You can't just build a house without food. Take your stuff to the lake. Pushing the net underwater with a stick. According to the rules, I will wait until tomorrow to check. And while everyone's worried about the fish, Rick, I was lucky to catch one. I saw that the fish meat was delicious. Until the 17th day, the most professional hunter, Rick woke up before dawn. I want to go hunting small animals. It's the basic operation of a professional hunter. To a hill Rick began to hie. Quickly a shadow passed by. The shape is definitely a fox. But I didn't have time to shoot the arrow. The fox has run away. Even if you whistle to call, I can't find it again walking around. It's a shame. If you catch it, at least I can live another half a month. No problem. I have to go back to the Keating camp. You can't catch animals on the mountain. We have to switch to fishing. However, due to a few days ago negligence, the pessimistic boat is punctured. You have to use the glue you brought to fix it. This is part of the equipment along with the bow. It doesn't take much effort. You fix it and carefully take the boat out to the lake. Gently slide the net raw. Takes half an hour to put the net finished. I was walking with it in the morning and picked up a big mushroom. When preparing to get wood for cooking, then suddenly a yacht was sailing across the lake. I thought it was a routine check. Who would have expected them to announce the weather would get colder? For the safety of the contestants, so the organizing committee, special for each of you, one more fishing net. The act of sending more equipment. It's quite a surprise to everyone. I really don't understand. But this is good news for Klaus, because he broke the net last time. And others are also excited that there's a new net that can be dropped elsewhere. Increased chances of catching fish. While Madi was busy making the fire, using stones and earth to make a fire pit. A big fire after 2.5 days of work. Don't worry about being cold in the camp anymore. The luckiest one is Annie. 2 nets have been placed to catch large fish and small fish. She cut 2 large pieces of cooked meat and tasted it. Rich in energy. When night falls, the contestants all go to camp. Day 18. The playground is covered in snow. The cold weather makes the fish harder to find. Soren is now back at the lake. A boat arrived half an hour later. Maybe an unbearable contestant has left the game. The scene turns to Soren lying weak in the camp. The doctor came to check that he hadn't eaten in 10 days. Protein fatigue building shelter. I almost called for help to be safe, but the doctor decided. Soren was forced to withdraw because of the risk of organ failure. You're not dressed, your efforts have been cut off. The newly built villa has not been able to enjoy the forest. There's no way. Soren just hacked up. If it wasn't just for building a house, you'd have lasted longer. There are currently only 4 candidates. Klaus, who doesn't eat meat, finally has fish. A small one is not equal to the normal harvest. Simple prep, heat, raw, delicious, sticky taste. With increasingly difficult conditions, survival life is really cruel. Hungry people will be hungry in the coming winter. Strong people can still be free. Eat delicious grilled fish, turning the competition into a paid vacation. The last person standing will receive $500,000. On the 19th, a snowstorm filled the playground. Klaus knew the little tent couldn't stand it, so the strong wind tried to reinforce the wall. Tied up with ropes and branches, be safe and enter the tent. It's terribly cold. We are resting in the camp today. Medi here is also reinforcing the shelter. She directly uses snow stones to surround the fireplace. I have to say, this operation is awesome. I went back to the camp and took a thermometer and measured 39 degrees. High fever definitely has cold symptoms. The most important thing is to heat the fire quickly, because we didn't have enough dragon fire, so now it's hard to start a fire. Reluctant, she took out toilet cotton to be broadcast by the delegation. Thanks to the soft material, quickly has a small fire. Continuous blowing in. Quickly lit the fireplace. I sat down not long ago. There is no cover above the heater. Outdoor thick snowfall quickly extinguishes the fire. In this situation, you don't have time to fix it. Just sitting in the cold in the camp. And is also resting at the camp. To kill time, she started using fishing lines and ribs. To be honest, and calculated very carefully. The staff has been very good so far. I have never missed home so far. You built the wall a few days ago. If not, you'll probably be half dead by now. While everyone's at camp, Rick calmly goes outside. Because he had to check the fish trap for a harvest. Be careful to check the lake. The results are as clean as your pocket. Hugging hope to check the bait. I saw the float sink from a distance. If you pull it up, it's just a bubble. What a disappointment. When he returned to the camp, he found many footprints on the ground. Guess the size, it must be a sign. But God forbid, hunting is impossible. There's only one good way to get back to camp and reinforce the tent. Everyone is resting in the camp. On the 20th day was finally sunny. Klaus untied the rope in the shelter. When I returned to the camp wearing pants, I found that I was very thin. I don't want to be disqualified because I'm too light. We have to find a way to get protein. Take out the precious hook. Bring the fishing rod to the lake to try your luck. Not using the grid generated by the program. Because I find it easier. Toss it more than 10 times. In the end, God doesn't care. After 2.5 hours, a mackerel came ashore. Even if the fish is not big, but if it's done well, it could be worth a few $1 million. As everyone knows, I was so hungry I brought the fish to eat. I went back to the barbecue on the coal fire. Watching the fish grilled outside crispy and soft, it's almost as high in protein as dinosaur meat. At the same time, Rick was going to go fishing. Compared to the other contestants, the only advantage was the field boat. This allows your net to drop deeper. In the hope of pulling the net up, the more you pull, the heavier you see something up there. The first is to catch a small fish. I can't believe there's a bigger one. I finally caught 5 fish. Oh my god. No one's really as lucky as you. Make the other contestants look at what they're going to think. Plus some small fish we caught earlier. Rich has 9 fish. Is the contestant with the most food reserves. If you keep this level, you will definitely win. Back to camp. Enjoy the delicious food. The fish don't have to say. It's definitely the food that the other contestants dream of. Back to Met. I woke up feeling better. Quick group heating furnace. Take a break. Then her hunger spurred her to go fishing. It's not that this land is a rare resource. The complex equipment she carried worked. but I still came back empty-handed today. The time has come to the 21st day. The temperature dropped a few degrees. Even the lake in front of the door is frozen. Rick crouched in the cold tent. This temporary shelter. You may be very good at it now. To reduce this symptom, Rick's going to do a makeshift shelter in the camp. The way to do that is to dig a big hole in the ground. Then dig a small slot outside the tent to draw air. And then cover the wood up. So when you start a fire, the whole tent gets warmer. I hurried to start testing my work. And lunch is simply a grilled fish. Come to Met. Because the stove in the camp was failing. So she wants to make a fire in it. Go around. Pick up a big pile of rocks to wrap around the head of the bed. To avoid the smoke, she opened a window. Thereby a blazing fire broke out. It also makes you feel an unprecedented warmth. Come out and see the smoke escape effect is quite good. You can finally rest in the camp. But if you say shelter, the most comfortable is N's firewood. Whether it's wind resistance or warmth, it's great. When the night falls, someone's sitting in a barbecue. People are hungry in the camp. Fast forward to the 22nd day, when the other contestants aren't up yet. Claus took the fishing rod early on. As they say, early birds are eaten by worms. He soon caught a big fish. For lack of food, I didn't stop this time. Let's drop 2 more sentences and get one. In half an hour, there were 2 protein-rich fish. Makes Claus very excited. Bring the fish back to camp. And just woke up and started cleaning up. It's strange that the door has a puddle of iced tea. There's only you around. It's clear that some small animal left. But your strength is not enough to hunt. It's so cold. She's still at the crafting camp. The most comfortable contestant is Rick. I slept until 12. Go to the fish store, take a small one and go into the tent to enjoy. Meanwhile, Met's situation has always been unbearable. No meat for a week. The body is suffering. Look at the beauty in your hand. Her tears didn't stop falling. Suddenly a boat appeared on the lake. I don't know who can't give up. Met has been waiting for a long time on the shore. She said the shelter's been freezing for the past few days. Reasons to give up is that there's no food and complex tools that carry almost rust in the camp. It's probably because there aren't many resources around. Finally packed up, Met regretfully left the competition. There are only 3 people left now, time to the 23rd day, and began to collect wood constantly to prepare for the winter. At the same time, the other 2 contestants also started to store wood. It's worth noting that they also have emergency diets and couldn't bear to cook cereal. But this doesn't last very long either. If you want to survive, you have to find meat. On the other side, Claus started fishing again, hoping to fill his stomach. Just don't waste your time. And Rick doesn't have to worry about food. I made a single bed for myself, or sleep on the ground. It's not okay in this cold weather. Fast forward to the 24th day. The sky was clear and was happy. You've been thinking about new survival tactics for the past few days. The weather is so cold. It's definitely impossible to get into the water, so you're going to build a small boat by wrapping it up with waterproof tarpaulins and tree branches, and make oars out of tree branches. Anne's nervous testing is done. Unexpected, very suitable. You dare not neglect to start combing out the small net. Here Rick also drove the boat, began to act. But it's a shame that we're using the extra grid today. There is no harvest. This made him start to worry. What if the food in the house runs out? I really don't know. There's a yacht coming right now. It turned out to be Claus's call for help. He said he'd had kidney stones before. The pain around my stomach has been burning for days. To be safe, have a doctor check it out. Through discussion, the doctor said, no surgery is required in this case. Better to try to fight to the end. There are 3 big guys on the field. Who will be the last champion? To the 25th day, a squirrel suddenly appeared in front of Vic. The animal has a pretty good fat body, but because the distance is too far, before he could shoot the bow, it was gone. As Rick watched, I found a chicken standing still and not moving. Unfortunately, you can't shoot in this situation, because just moving will make the bird fly away. We have to go back to camp. After waiting for Rick's hands to freeze, hurry to light a heating fire. Suddenly, there was a noise outside the camp. It looks like a herd of wild animals. They're easy to hunt. But the rules of the game don't allow that. As the reindeer moved away, Rick could only swallow. With Claus in the morning sitting in front of the door warming up, ready to go fishing. The reason I didn't use the extra grid was because I found the grid very troublesome. I'd rather spend all my time fishing than in cold water. This makes the probability of catching fish very low. Standing on the shore from morning to evening without seeing the fish bite, I can't seem to get rid of hunger today. And sigh. It's extra grid day. She eagerly boarded the boat to the middle of the lake. The net is pulled up to the shore, gently harvested 2 small fish. This method seems to work. As in rested on the shore. A yacht is quickly approaching. It turns out that the team is resupplying equipment in the middle. The weather is expected to get colder. The lake will freeze completely. To prevent the other contestant from catching fish, they're going to drill for ice, life-saving equipment if falling into water, and a fake bait to attract real fish. I don't know why I didn't order them fast food when the night falls, and put the sliced fish in the snow for preservation. But this way the fish will be lost tomorrow. At the same time, Rick was preparing the fish. Meat is not difficult for you. Until the 27th day, Claus plans to go fishing on the frozen lake. Before you go, prepare all the equipment. Being afraid of the big lake is dangerous. I decided to try the small lake, looking out over the frozen lake for sure. But out in the wild dare not risk down the check. Claus wearing a life jacket. Even strapping people to make sure they're safe. First drill a hole in the shore. Make sure the thickness of the ice is enough to withstand its weight. And then bring the tools to the middle of the lake. Then start lying on the shore. Fishing has no specific purpose. Meanwhile, Rick has also prepared his tools. Carrying an icebreaker drill into the lake. Different from Claus. He goes straight to the middle of the lake, not worrying about falling into the water. Quickly drill a small hole in the ice. Avoid sitting for a long time causing hypothermia. There's a fire next door. And sit in front of the fire and start fishing. I don't know if there's a lot of fish here. Or bad luck. They both sat on the ice for half a day with no results. Rick even missed the bait. In the end, they both returned empty-handed. The wisest person is Anne. Even though the program provides fishing gear. But she thinks it's too hard to fish on the ice. I'd rather stay at the net clearing count. To the 28th day, health check notification program again. I can't believe all 3 of you don't have a big problem. Only Claus has itchy toes. The doctor diagnosed only a fungal infection. Not being cold. Keep your feet dry. After that, Claus went fishing. To increase the likelihood of success, he took out the grid and arranged it around. Now the other 2 are out in the middle of the lake with a trick. They can easily put nets in deep water and just wait. By the 29th, Rick started collecting the second net. I have just opened up and I have seen, in my heart, a deep remembrance. I wish my wife was there. Relax the mood and climb back into the boat to check the net. What a coincidence. The head net caught a fish that weighed almost 15 pounds. There are also some small fish. That's great luck. Perfect grid placement. When we pulled them all ashore, we caught a total of 7 to 8 fish. Help Rick become the only one in the competition. It's called the Fish King. Return to camp in a state of unspeakable joy. I don't have to worry about food for half a month. And Anne, because the net had no fish, took her things to the lake. Fear of walking on the ice and falling. Try the stone first. Then carefully drill a small hole in the middle of the lake. But for half an hour there's no fish to bite. It seems to be in vain. While the contestants are worried about the fish, Claus is going up the mountain to remember his father. Take him with you and get your bones dressed up on the mountain. Find a place to stop the fire. Pray and sprinkle it in the sky. You said it would keep your soul safe. To focus on competition. After the prayer, Claus felt healed. I still have to be hungry today. But it's all worth it. Until the 30th, Claus's plan was to build a wooden raft to go out into the deep water and try fishing. He used simple wood to frame. Don't want to spend too much effort. You should put your backpack on top as a float and drop the raft into the water for testing. Anyone who's ever been in elementary school knows that. It would be strange if this thing could stand up. I just sat down not long. The raft has begun to slowly sink. No matter how hard he tries, it's useless. Finally, after more than 10 failed tests, if the bottom is full of wood, your mood was pretty bad. Rick doesn't know if it's heaven or not. Check the side grid today. To harvest a large pile of meat fish, full of pressure back to shore, plus the fish we caught a few days ago. Now Rick is completely free of fish. If he keeps his form, the championship will surely belong to him. On the other side, and was going to get the fish in reserve yesterday, but digging in the snow for half a day is still no fish. Needless to say, I know, must have been taken by the small animals around. It's so black. I told you. There's no hiding food here. There is only one way to accept hunger. Time to the 32nd day. Because the big lake in front of the door hasn't frozen yet, the contestants only have to store wood through the winter. Just enough wood. When it snows, stay in the camp. With Claus, there's finally a change. Hungry for a week, he's finally getting better. Check the subnet for a large carp. He was so hungry that he went to the fish farm. Fresh and fragrant grilled fish. Rush to replenish energy. This fish is not very good, but it is more than not. Rick's side is also cooking fish in the camp right now. For him, dinner can be eaten comfortably. Not afraid to eat all the food. By the 34th day, the contestants' mood began to subside. The empty heart begins to miss the family. Claus took out the head of the fish that had not been eaten for a long time to cook soup. I didn't sit there and go fishing. Maybe you can catch a big fish, and came to check the grid. The good news is that there are 2 fish that bite at a time. But you're not happy. But start thinking about what it means to stay here. Will N be the next contestant to withdraw? Whose hand will the $500,000 go to? Wait until the 36th day. The surrounding environment has been covered in white snow. The lake in front of me was frozen. That's not good news for Rick, because he had to take a small boat into the water. MESH inspection. Fortunately, the ice is not thick. You can still climb a boat on it. Fortunately, he also caught a fish, but not the outcome he wanted. At the inspection camp, there are still about 7 to 8 fish. He's tired of eating all this. Rick just wants to change the position of other prey. Long time no bow and arrow is a bit unskilled, so he's training specifically at the camp gates. This arrow is 100% accurate. Klaus quickly packed up early in the morning, decided to go up the hill behind for a walk. He said he's going crazy in the tent to go outside occasionally to breathe fresh air. Also quite useful. But on the way back, my heel hurt. I don't know if it's frostbite or cold damage. Go to the camp and call for help. I made for calls this time. The doctor also quickly brought the equipment. Minor examination of the wound. They've determined that it's caused by ambient temperature. In this situation, you just need to rest for a few days. After the general discussion of the doctors, they suggested that Claus try to endure for a few more days. I know I can't leave for that reason. On his face seemed quite sad, and start collecting materials around the area, and is drawing water by the lake. I thought she was going back to the boilers to cook. Who would have thought to just take the fish's head and intestines and leave them on the shore to melt out? Feed the little birds around. To say that, do you have time to cook a fish head soup? You don't eat anything in the morning, and you're sawing wood around the area. I felt dizzy and tired for a few minutes. Weak hands and feet. If you can't catch a fish, you might as well give up. By day 37, the temperature had dropped to -10 degrees, and was still waiting for the lake to freeze so she could sit there and fish. But the current thickness is not enough. On the 38th day, the lake on the Rick was completely frozen. The field boat could no longer be used. He took off the waterproof tarpaulin on it. While busy, the nostalgia rose again. Rick shed tears. To lift the spirits to the camp, he used the waterproof cloth he had just removed. Quick build outdoor kitchen. Sitting in it, heating the fire. It feels completely different than being in a tent. Claus neglected for a few days. It is now ready to operate again. Hungry for a few days. You've got to find a way to stretch the net. Start pulling the strings little by little around the lake. The ice is uncertain. It's easy to slip. Carefully go across the lake. It took an hour to finally stretch the net. Wait a few days to see if there are any fish. At the same time, To make sure the ice thickness is bearing enough, take a stone and throw it down. Under this situation can be completely assured 1000%, but she decided to wait a few more days. You play with stones. Until the 39th day. Rick was practicing archery at the door when he spotted traces of his prey. According to the footprints, the foxes, but around the messy footprints, hard to guess the direction. In fact, 2 days ago Rick used fish soup to lure foxes, but so far I haven't seen a single feather. To increase the likelihood of success, in the evening, I poured fish soup on a tree. I want to attract that fox. 41st day claws outside grid inspection. I saw 2 ugly ducks in the net. They're wrapped in webs and they can't move. Claus was very excited and rushed into the water, afraid they escaped. When I catch you biting right into the sound of broken bones. 2 fat ducks immediately sleep well. I have to say, the luck's really great. I can't believe this difficult time. You can still eat a party like that. Not say much. He's sitting directly at the door handling duck meat. When the duck hair is plucked, the head and the wings are gone. And then go to the shore and clean out the organs, leaving only 2 pieces of fatty duck breast. High-grade raw materials. They usually have the simplest way of cooking. Big fire grill 30 minutes, crispy yellow roasted duck outside. The soft inside just came out. Hungry for a few days, finally eating meat. Oh my god. Parents, this taste and the feeling of eating can't be denied. Meat is not dry or hard. Rich in protein and greasy. In less than 2.5 minutes, he ate the meat, and the duck bones are thrown into the fire. Use it with a little spice, and duck porridge smells good. With an I ate my last fish today. If you can't find food in a few days, we will consider the end of the contest. She carefully carried her things to the surface of the lake, gouged out a small hole, started fishing. Although the bait is very eye-catching, that the fish around here won't bite. From morning to afternoon, until the ground where she lies starts to get wet. You just realize the situation is serious. Tack your things back to the shore. Looking around, the lake had turned dark brown, which means that soon the ice will break up. Maybe you're still hungry today. The next day the program came for a health check. All 3 contestants lost about 10 pounds, but it doesn't affect health. To the 43rd day, and lay in the lake all day and couldn't catch anything with her. The game is about to end. You go back to camp and call back the company's off-road driving program. Then the snowmobile came to her very quickly. Although and performed well from the beginning, there were too few fish in the winter. You have to give up. No wonder she's the only female contestant left. Persistence has been very good so far. When Ani withdrew, there were only 2 contestants on the playground. To day 45, Rick checked the net under the ice. I don't know if I can catch fish, but soon the fish are hauled back to shore. A total of 3 children. While Claus's party was unlucky to check fishing without fish bites, I was lucky to have some duck meat a few days ago. 2 skewers is simply enough to be called a meal. Day 47, Rick in the camp suddenly saw good. I saw a little squirrel on a tree in the distance. After many days to see the living creature, dare not ignore. Prepare the bow and arrow. Aim and shoot a shot. Successfully destroy. I'm so glad that my bow and arrow technique is great. Look at the meat on the squirrel. I don't eat fish every day. Go back to camp and start peeling and cooking and hanging on the grill. Night to enjoy delicious food. Grilled squirrels taste almost no different than rat meat. But in this context, it's a rare delicacy. Day 48, Claus again. Fishing test results are still the same. I'm too hungry to bear it. Up the mountain nibbling on a crispy, sweet ice cream stick. They both went out to rest all day. No one wants to give up until the 49th. A little duck meat troop makes the show surprise. For wheel drive to the test site. Both surprised. I thought it was a routine health check, but the program has some shocking news. The weather is going to get worse. The surrounding road will also be blocked. If anything happens, the rescue team won't be there in time. After the program discussion decided, give the title to both. Everyone was glad they didn't have to continue to suffer. Here the prize money will be divided by 2 people according to their own evaluation. But with the current situation, now this seems a little unfair to Rick, because your reserves are still enough for 10 more days. While we were talking, the two families came. Seeing them, every effort seemed worth it. Then, two people take their family to the wild. For the first time in history, two champions at the same time. What do people think of this result? Let's discuss it in the comments. Clap for them, everyone.